Whenever you go to the gym, what kind of exercises do you do? Most people that I see at the gym are either on the treadmill, on machines, or lifting free weights. But occasionally, you're going to see that guy in the corner doing muscle ups and human flags. And also on certain occasions, you're going to see some dude bench pressing 500 pounds. And then of course you never see them again. Now you might be debating which kind of strength you want to have. Do you want to be able to move like a monkey or be as strong as an ox? In other words, what's better, training with free weights or training calisthenics? In this video, I'm going to be teaching you the key differences between free weight training versus calisthenics. So let's go ahead and start with free weights. Training with free weights is easily the most straightforward and arguably the easiest way to grow muscle and get stronger. If you want bigger biceps, pick up a pair of dumbbells and start curling. When the weight eventually becomes too easy, pick up a heavier pair and repeat the cycle. Boom! Training with free weights explained in the simplest terms. Okay, obviously there is more to know about training with free weights. When lifting weights, there are typically two kinds of movements you can perform: compound movements and isolation movements. Compound movements are where you utilize multiple muscle groups at once to lift some kind of weight. Examples of compound movements are bench press, which utilizes mainly your chest, shoulders, and triceps; squats, which utilize mainly your quads, hamstrings, glutes, and core; and deadlifts, which mainly utilize your glutes, hamstrings, forearms from the grip, and lower back. Training your compound movements is the easiest way to get overall stronger with free weights. Isolation movements, on the other hand, target one specific muscle group at a time. Examples of isolation movements are bicep curls, training solely the biceps; lateral raises, which train the side deltoids; and leg extensions, which target the quads. Isolation movements work best for growing one specific muscle group at a time. However, don't rely on them for building strength. If you want to have a heavier squat, don't go spamming the leg extension and hamstring curl machines. Focus on the squatting movement itself. If you want bigger legs overall, you should be training both compound movements like squats and isolation movements as well, like leg extensions. In short, in order to maximize muscle growth and increasing strength, train both compound and isolation exercises. With all that said, let's go ahead and talk about the potential drawbacks from lifting free weights. Probably the biggest downside to lifting free weights is the fact that you're much more prone to injury than training with calisthenics. If you're going for a heavy bench press and fail a rep, you're either going to have to find a way to throw the weight off yourself or rely on a spotter to catch the bar. Another drawback is the stress on your joints and tendons free weights may induce. Lifting free weights is great at increasing strength and muscle mass quickly, but it will require more rest and proper recovery than doing calisthenics. If you're not lifting correctly with good form or recovering properly, that can easily cause strain on your joints and tendons, which if not taken care of can lead to much bigger issues along the way. And of course, let's not forget about the countless muscle tears we've seen from people lifting free weights as well. So take your time to recover properly, perfect your form, and not lift weight that is unrealistically heavy for you. But other than that, there really is no reason to not train with free weights. They're the most straightforward way to growing muscle and getting stronger. So if you're a beginner in the gym, I highly advise training with free weights. Just be sure that you're applying progressive overload to your free weight training routine. If you're not quite sure what progressive overload is, don't worry. I made a short video you can watch after this one explaining it in detail. But maybe you're not interested in free weights. Maybe it's just not your style. And that's okay, because there is an alternative way that works just as well as free weights. With that said, let's go ahead and talk about calisthenics. The word calisthenics literally means beautiful strength, which I believe is perfect for the term. Beautiful people doing beautiful things, like damn. Simply put, calisthenics are just bodyweight exercises. Common and basic bodyweight exercises include push-ups, pull-ups, and planks. Probably the best thing about training calisthenics is the fact that you don't even need a gym membership or a need to invest in weights at home. You can do many basic movements pretty much anywhere, such as a park, your bedroom, the beach, and of course, a prison yard, which makes calisthenics very easy to start in contrast to lifting free weights. If you want to grow your chest, shoulders, and triceps, drop to the floor and do push-ups. If you want to hit your abs, lay on your back and do some leg raises. Unlike free weights, progressing with calisthenics is a little different. With free weights, you can just simply increase the weight you're lifting as it gets easier. With calisthenics, there are multiple approaches to progressively overloading. Let's say push-ups are becoming a little too easy. In order to make them harder, you can try doing more reps. Okay, you can do 100 push-ups in a row. Yeah, that's just an endurance exercise at that point. If you want to make the movement harder, try putting on a backpack and load it with heavy books or wearing something like a weighted vest. Other ways you can progressively overload are slowing down your tempo, increasing the range of motion with some kind of parallel bars, or harder push-up variations like decline push-ups or archer push-ups. Keep in mind, there are levels to calisthenics. Once regular push-ups become too easy, maybe try your hand at bodyweight dips. If you're not quite able to do a dip correctly, you can always try easier variations such as an assisted dip flip machine, or negatives where you only control the downward part as best as you can. And of course, once dips get too easy, you could try the backpack method again, or even invest in some weight plates and a belt to attach them to. So yeah, with calisthenics, progressively overloading may take a bit of creativity, but it is entirely possible to get stronger and build muscle from bodyweight exercises alone. Another great thing about calisthenics is that you are much less prone to injury than lifting free weights. Calisthenics are actually very beneficial for not only your muscles, but your joints and tendons as well. In addition to that, calisthenics isn't just about building strength. You're also developing coordination, balance, mobility, and neuromuscular control that may not always translate with free weights. The only real risk of getting even slightly hurt while doing calisthenics is trying to attempt something that is too difficult for you. Like, maybe avoid attempting to do a human flag on your first day. So with all that said, let's go ahead and talk about the potential drawbacks as well. While it is easy to train your push movements and your core, unfortunately, it's kind of hard to train your back or legs. If you're a beginner, doing bodyweight squats will grow your leg muscles and increase your strength, but only up to a certain point, and you may need to start lifting with weights to really see any further progress. And with training back, it's also very hard but not impossible to not train with some kind of pull-up variation. Most of us probably can't even do one pull-up on our first day, so we'd have to do some kind of easier variation such as horizontal rows, which would require something to hold on to. So if you choose solely calisthenics, you may need to invest in something like a pull-up bar or a pair of parallel bars for things like dips and L holds. Another major drawback is the very limited growth potential. Calisthenics can and will build an aesthetic, athletic physique, which after lots of progress is sure to turn some heads. However, building strength and muscle with calisthenics will only take you so far. If you want to have a bodybuilder level of muscle or a powerlifter strength, calisthenics alone are probably not going to take you there. While being able to do muscle ups and one-arm push-ups may be impressive, if you're ever looking to try to deadlift 500 pounds, that probably will not happen with calisthenics alone. But of course, that doesn't mean calisthenics aren't worth training either. As long as you're applying progressive overload, you are guaranteed to see results. And of course, be sure to recover properly as well. Alright, so those are the key differences between lifting free weights and training calisthenics. As always, that begs the question, which one should you train? My answer is to train both. On every chest day, I'm always making sure that I include lots of dips in my workouts in addition to bench pressing and cable flies. And on back days, I always start out with 100 to 150 pull-ups as well as including some kind of free weight row variation. And on leg days, I do standing calf raises, which still counts as calisthenics. Personally though, I do lift more free weights than bodyweight exercises. However, there is no right or wrong answer for either. If you prefer training solely with free weights, that's totally okay, and same goes with calisthenics. Just be sure to consider the pros and cons of both and get a full understanding of what you're getting yourself into. Remember, lifting free weights is all about absolute strength, regardless of size, while calisthenics is all about relative strength, or how strong you are relative to your body weight. With that, feel free to pause the video and look at this pros and cons chart that I've put together. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave it a like, and if you really enjoy this sort of content, consider subscribing. If you know somebody who can really benefit from this video, be sure to hit the share button and copy the link. Also, be sure to check out my video on progressive overload as well while you're at it. And that's all for today, everybody.